We were all very excited for today's road trip. After a few years of cruising, I was finally going to see the elusive sea creature. So on the road we go to Blue Springs State Park. We are at Blue Springs State Park. Super excited. Apparently there is 580 manatees today. And I've never seen a manatee, so this is gonna be really cool. It's beautiful. It's like 68 Fahrenheit right now.
What's on the map, Coral?
We have a parking lot. We are here.
I'm asking Coral.
There you go. That's what she says.
It was only $6 for the car to get in with the 5 of us. And make sure you come early because there's a lot of people who come here and a long line to get in.
It's super pretty. Manatees or sea cows cannot tolerate water temperature colder than 68 degrees for long periods of time. Although they look fat, they only have about an inch of fat and a very slow metabolism, so they can't easily stay warm. These marine mammals are mostly herbivorous and can weigh up to 1,300 pounds. They spend 50% of their time sleeping and the remainder grazing.
The springs are a great area to help nurse back manatees to health. The staff can easily monitor injured and sick manatees with the clean water. We spotted a few of them with little floats or buoys to keep track of the sick ones.
Like the manatees, Coral?
Hiccup. Anyone that wants for les drôles de yeux? Not only was there over 500 manatees, but we even spotted an alligator sunbathing. There's so many of them in Florida.
Coral seems to be loving the manatees. I'm not sure if she sees them, to be honest, but she's having fun outdoors anyway. But yeah, this is a super sweet spring, really neat. Nice to see that they're trying to take care of the manatees. You can see some of them have some scars from power boats and stuff. They just don't really have much defense, you know, they move so slowly, they're right near the surface of the water, and those power boats strike them sometimes. But they're trying to take the best care of them as they can around here. And the best thing you can do as a boater is just slow down in manatee zones and you won't have any problems, hopefully.
Blue Springs is connected to the St. Johns River, which is where our sailboat was.
We're so fortunate. It's February 1st today, and in the winter, because the water gets so cold out there, all the manatees come to Blue Springs. Apparently someone was saying as soon as it gets below 68 degrees Fahrenheit, they just all come here. And the water at Blue Springs stays around 72 like all year long pretty much. Winter time is the best time to come see them, between November and April. So we're perfectly timed. After 13 months of gestation, the calf may stay with his mother for up to 2 years. There's a nice boardwalk that follows the river and gives you many opportunities to look at the manatees. And we were lucky enough to get a warm and sunny day. Northern Florida gets cold in January and February. I love it here. There's just so many manatees. It's funny because on our way down to the US we saw so many signs and I had never seen a manatee. So seeing like 580 manatees is pretty impressive.
At the end of the trail, we found where the springs began. There's a deep underwater cave where it comes from. It'd be so cool to dive.
What do you think of the manatees? Eh? Tell us all about it. Now we're going to grab a picnic table, have a little picnic.
Hey Carol! Playtime!
When you're a dad, you finally have an excuse to go play in the playground. Even if Coral was only 4 months old, time to go have some fun.
You're in! You're in! Let's put your little hood on. Make sure you got some padding. You ready?
Woo! Woohoo!
Hi! Who's that?
Cuckoo?
Hi, Mommy!
The beauty about Florida, fresh oranges and ginormous lemons. So we've got Coral playing and I'm making some fresh juice. Well, cheers! Oh yeah, so fresh.
Coral's playpen while we do work. Sometimes she's really good and sometimes she needs a ton of attention. Ropes, ropes, and ropes! Woohoo! And I got myself a new little fid. I was doing it with a piece of wire and it actually worked quite well with just a piece of wire. You can do quite a bit of splicing. But I figure with this sheeted line, a fid might help better. We'll find out. I've never used one. We want to replace our snubber line We're going a little smaller because I think we had overkill at, I think it was 5/8. But this is 1/2 inch and we should be just fine with that. And also this line is going to replace our backstay adjustment, which I'm sure if any of you have been following us, you've seen how nasty that looks. So you can see it actually snapped the outer sheet and it's only the inner core holding it together for at least part of it. And we also got ourselves a new radio. This one with GPS incorporated into it because, well, we're absolutely fed up with our old radio. And
Screw Uniden.
I had trouble last year, or the year before, this little GPS puck kind of MacGyvered into this setup. You also need a, I think it's a 5-volt power supply for it, so that, anyway, you power this with 5 volts and essentially you can give the GPS location to the regular radio that doesn't have GPS. But the problem is it didn't last very long. It stopped working after 1 year. So hopefully with it incorporated here, we will not have that problem. It's also got a 3-year warranty. And if you want to compare one brand to another, stay away from Uniden. I mean, it's partially our fault because we assumed that a radio that's meant to be mounted outside would be good for that, but they have different wording. Basically, their radio is water resistant and standard Horizon is waterproof, supposedly. So we're gonna give them a try, and I mean, we want it mounted outside just because we can't hear it otherwise. And when it's just mounted in here like we used to have it, and I don't really feel like paying extra for an auxiliary, another mic that goes on the outside. So we'll see how it works. Hopefully it's more waterproof and not just water resistant. Well, you can see there's no sheet left on this, so we're gonna cut it off. Actually, I'm gonna release pressure slowly from this end because I don't want to cut it and then it just this bit slams up there. So I'm just going to release that end, the turnbuckle, and then we'll cut the rope and see if it was any. Well, I mean, we're not gonna. It's not really gonna be a good test, but it seems like it has quite a bit of strength left in it. It's just the outside sheath that was gone. All right, I got the slack, so we'll just cut it here. It's actually pretty strong considering, like, without any core. Obviously the core protects it a lot more against any cutting, but I mean the core sheet. There was the sheet protects the core against any cutting, but obviously when the sheet is this bad UV damage, there's not much left of it, it falls apart. But I was amazed, actually the core is really quite strong considering. How was Coral's nap?
Really good. Mommy and Daddy got a lot of work done. She was amazing. And now she's really, really excited to see the camera or Daddy. Probably Daddy, actually. You want to grab the camera and film us? Soon we're going to have a third videographer, right?
She's bored. She's bored of you, Mommy talking. Daddy? Is he doing a good job?
So Daddy's working on making that compartment better.
We're using an old beer box as a, no, I'm just doing a template. We're gonna make this out of some 3/4 inch plywood just to protect our through hulls here, but more importantly our depth sounder from getting smashed around with our boxes and stuff. Well, I'm having some fun learning how to splice 2-strand rope with a sheet on it. I've only ever spliced 3-strand rope, so this is kind of new to me, but it's turning out okay. I got this one done. It looks pretty clean. A heck of a lot better than this thing looked before I cut it anyway. But yeah, it's gonna be a real nice improvement and we'll be able to trust this.
Our stove doesn't work and you can't really access anything. It's so awkward, so I'm taking off the lid to be able to remove some of the hoses in the back that seem to be leaking. So this hose, well, first the valve was leaking back here. Now it seems like the actual hose itself, I thought it was the connection, so I tried some Teflon tape, but it's actually above, like, seems like where the coupler meets the hose, or the connector meets the hose, so we're gonna have to swap this hose out. And I'm pretty sure these are all clogged up because even with the hose connected and it's slightly leaking, I turn on the valves here and there's no air sound, there's no fuel coming out, so I have a feeling
all of these are blocked somehow, unless that hose is the culprit.
This is completely stuck on. I can't remove it because there would be a little needle in there that should like clean up, and I think it might be clogged. So I think we're gonna have to get some pliers and remove those caps because they're both. Actually, that one is just super stuck. Finally get it out. Get the cap out. So now I'm gonna have to try to see inside of this and get it cleaned up. The hose has a hole.
So we're trying to blow some air through where the hose was connected in the back of this, and no air is coming out even with the needle and the valve completely open. So now we're trying to spray a bit of WD-40 in here to see if it flows down, maybe clears up some of the passage. But there's definitely a block going on somewhere, somehow. Really not sure how. Oh,
Did you get it?
yeah, you just did something there, bubbled.
Wrench on this bottom nut, and then a wrench kind of straddling this part of the valve to loosen it. And once you get it loose, you can unscrew this top part from the bottom part and see what's going on.
There's a bunch of carbon buildup here on the end, and it looks like there's a little hole here where the fuel is supposed to go. And then over on this end, it looks like, I mean, this is the nut that's meant to be on the end of the pipe, but it looks like the pipe is like fully clogged with some sort of corrosion or something. So I'm gonna try to pick at that and see what we can take out. It looks like there's a little screen right, thank God for the manuals. Somebody was organized when they got the boat. So it looks like once you unscrew this thing, there's a little piece of string or twine that's looped back. So I think I should be able to, in theory, just pull on it. Oh, we gotta give it a good yank, it seems. Looks pretty filthy. I don't know, we'll see now. I'll try to blow in the hose and we'll see if we're getting anything. So we'll see if we can get some new stuff like this. If not, I'll just clean this up and throw it back in. So once you clean it up, I just use this little wire to jam it in there. You fold it around the wire and push it down in. This is the last component. We gotta make sure air flows through. So
Yeah.
perfect. Trying to replace the O-ring over here on this little itty bitty valve. This was the old O-ring right here, and you can see it's all cracked and it's falling apart there. Anyway, it's really hard, so it wasn't doing the trick anymore. Problem is, I think these O-rings are slightly bigger, and this one is slightly smaller. Anyway, we'll give it a shot. Worst case, I got a new valve to try changing out. The problem with that is the old valve is here, pretty stuck onto the aluminum case here. So, and it's filled with alcohol, so if I have to change this valve, I'm going to have to remove all the alcohol, let it evaporate, and then hit this with a torch, hit the valve with a torch for a little bit so I can unseize this, because I don't want to break the whole thing trying to take it off. Well, just finishing this edit that's been sitting here for like 3 weeks, because we got ahead on editing, but now we wanted to be ahead because we knew we wouldn't have a whole lot of time with getting the boat ready and moving from Canada back to the US. So just trying to finish up this episode so we're hopefully a month ahead for when we start cruising. It'll make us a little less stressed for the trip and everything, because it's sometimes difficult getting all the editing done, but super happy.